I have 5 questions here that an amazing creative sent me so that I could answer to help any other designers or graphic designers or any other creative professionals that are out here needing a little bit of insight or just need some of these answers that, for questions that they have. Hi, I'm Candice Madrid. I am a creative professional. I kind of not stuttered, but like paused a little bit because there have been times where I'm like, what am I? Because I've done so many things in my career as a graphic designer, photographer. I've worked in editorial design. I have been a videographer. I've edited video. I've edited sound. I've worked on podcast. I've worked on content for social media. I've done marketing, creative marketing. So I've done quite a bit in my 17 years as a creative professional. And so that's usually like the easiest way for me to say what I do because I just have, or a brand builder. I even call myself a brand builder because that's what I do. I help develop and build brands. So, question number 1 is, what skills are essential for being a good designer? I'm pretty sure this question you could probably ask and get different answers from different creative directors. But I really do believe in my heart that we would all agree that 2 of the biggest skills, essential skills that you should have in this field are, 1, being a great researcher, and 2, not taking things personally. And so I want to get into those a little bit for you here. So, with the research is part of being a graphic designer. This is just part of your job. As a designer, your job is to find a creative solution to a problem that a brand has, or whatever the project that you're working on, the things that they need. So, being able to take the problem and go look in the environment where maybe other brands live, or just making sure that you're seeing what is working out in the marketing world right now. Also, too, the biggest thing for research is just remembering that, I know that like when we brainstorm with each other, even when we brainstorm with ChatGPT, we can kind of sometimes get in like our own bubble and think, oh, this is it. Like, I like this, so everybody else is going to like this. Or, 2 people on the 5 people team like it, so the world's going to like it. And that's not always the case. So making sure that you're researching what is working in the market, researching design, what design is working in advertising. So making sure to research, that is a very important essential skill. And not taking things personally. This one is so very, very important. I feel that as creatives, we can sometimes get attached to our designs or our solutions. And we have to remember that we are creating these solutions for a client or for a brand. So at the end of the day, this content that we create, it really doesn't belong to us, but it is that brand's, right? It's something that we created for them. And what the reason why I'm telling you not to get too attached to it is because there have been times, and I've seen this firsthand, and this has happened to me too, where I've designed something or I've seen another creative design something and they're like, "Oh, this is it. I love it. Like, they're going to love it." And then we go into the meeting and then we pitch this idea, or we show the designs, and the client's like, "This is awful." Or they're like, "This is nothing like I wanted." And sometimes when that happens, that can be because of a communication issue. And what I mean by that is, and I'm kind of going off a little bit here, but I feel like this is important to share with communication, because your client or your lead or whatever could tell you, we need something modern and bold for the design. and you're thinking, oh, I have just the thing. And what can happen sometimes is you have a different definition for bold and modern than they do. And so making sure that, now this is where research comes in. It is your job to also research the person that is giving you the project. So asking them, can you show me some brands or designs that you feel are modern and bold? And so then that way, now you can kind of see how they see things, and then that will help you be a better designer. So again, research is very, very important. And not taking it personally, like I said, because like in that example, for instance, it wasn't that you had bad art, it was that you and the person that gave you the creative brief have different definitions for the words that you're using. So making sure that you don't get attached to the designs, and making sure that you don't take things personally when it comes to feedback and critiquing, because it is our job. So we are trying to help them find a solution for the problem that they have. And it is our job to almost kind of see yourself as a scientist. We have to test things, we have to try things. And sometimes the first design isn't the one they want to go with. It might be the second one, or it might be the seventh one. So just making sure that you don't take things personally and know that you are there to help. All right. Number 2, what are some best practices? So some best practices for creatives, I would say, are taking care of yourself. I know that's really hard for us because we are just always like just in the creative mind. I mean, we could literally be watching a show, and it's something in that show like, oh, I like that design, or I love the way that looks, or oh, the coloring here, like I totally get that. And so, or even scrolling on social media, oh, I love the way the aesthetics of this or this or this. And because that's just how we are, we passionately have this eye for design. And so, a best practice would be to get away from the screen and actually going outside in nature, and making sure that you allow yourself to get inspired by nature, by the people that are around you. Talking to others, networking is so, so very important. And getting inspired by just your environment and your community. The community is so, so very important. So a best practice I would say is getting involved in your local community, making sure that you're networking and meeting other creatives. And also, as a designer or creative, like when you're creating something, sometimes we can like really get into what we're doing and kind of almost get tunnel vision. And so it's good to sometimes get up and like, I know for me, when I'm designing, like I'll leave the design on my computer, and I know we can zoom in and out, but I'll leave the design on my computer screen, and I'll stand up and I'll kind of walk over here on this side, or I'll walk over here on this side, and I'll just look at it in different angles. And, does this project, or, this design that I did, does it say what I'm needing it to say? Also, another best practice would be, having other people look at your design, not the people like, and, of course, make don't ever what I'm saying is don't post this on social media and ask people, unless that's what the brand owner wants you to do. But what I'm saying is, maybe having the design on your phone, like take a picture of it or something, and showing friends and family, and without telling them anything, and asking them, what do you see, or how do you feel when you see this? And so now you're doing your own market research, and that's another way for you to kind of see how other people are looking at what you're creating. And to me, I feel like that's very, very important, because that is our job, right? We are critiqued, we receive feedback, the project that we're working on, it has to embody this certain thing, or it has to to sell this or that. And so whenever we are designing, we want to make sure that it's not just us and our opinions, but even the opinions of everyday people, because that's what a brand does. Selling products and services to everyday people. So I would say that, yeah, that is another best practice. So getting out in nature, being a part of your community and networking, and um, sharing your art with others, sharing your creativity, and seeing, different perspectives of how people see what you're creating. All right, number 3, what are some budget friendly design programs? So, full transparency here, I pretty much use Adobe and Canva. If you are a student in college or even in high school, or if you're a teacher, you could get a discount with Adobe. So that's just something for you to know. Also, Adobe Express, it's kind of like Canva, and of course Canva. So Canva, Adobe Express, so they both have a free and like paid tiers. And for photo editing, I would say Lightroom. You could use like that app. Like that would be a good one. If you're doing UI UX, Figma, of course. And then let me trying to think. Oh yeah, like just like if you're creating quick stuff for social, CapCut would be one that you could do that's kind of budget friendly. And there are so many apps. And then just to give a little just caution with that is try not to focus on so many apps. Like, I mean, because there's even like Procreate, like if you're an illustrator. But what I'm saying is like, you don't want to overwhelm yourself with trying to use all these different apps to create. So it really depends on what kind of programs you're needing, like what kind of creative you are. So, like for me, I use all mostly Adobe products and a lot of Canva for my clients, like helping them with templates. And there is a lot you could do on Canva. So if I had to make a decision right now, I would say go with Canva because there's so much you can do with it. And even coding, I mean, many, many things. So I would say Canva, I guess. And number 4, how did you get your foot in the door as a new designer? So I earned my bachelor's in fine arts in December of 2012. But before I even walked that stage, I was creating and just create honestly creating my own opportunities in the town that I lived in. There was a art gallery that I opened, and I branded the art gallery and everything. So I had flyers made, I did photography there. Um I also there were like boutiques that I helped with. There were 2 consignment shops actually in the town. And so one of them I would like create little posts and stuff for them to use on social media. And then the other one I did like product photos and stuff for her, like of purses and of people wearing the clothes. And then there's also a lady in the town that had started like her own modeling agency because she used to be a model. And so I did photography for her. So, and this was all while I was in college. So creating, opportunities for myself. And again, that was because of networking and people I met and really putting myself out there. And so these are all things I did before I earned that degree. So with that said, I had some stuff to put on my resume whenever I began to look for jobs. And I was looking a lot for internships because I remember going and looking. So in November of that year, before I graduated in December, I remember looking on LinkedIn for jobs, and like I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how are you going to say this is an entry level position, but you have to have 5 years of experience? So I literally remember looking at that, and just talking to other creatives in the field right now, it seems to be that's still an issue. So internships are so good if you can get an internship. And I know that a lot of people like have this mindset of internships, you can only get them while you're in college. Now there are like college program internships that have to be a certain way, but there are some companies that have internships that you can get that are outside of being an active college student. So FYI on that, because that's how I did it. I graduated in December, got into a paid internship in January, and let me tell you, I'm so grateful that I did that because I learned so much, like the hands-on being in the company or the company that I was in. And it is kind of funny how like how that kind of, I want to say, turned my career, because originally like I wanted to get into advertising and go to like an advertising company, but instead, and a lot of that was because of TV, because that's how when I heard graphic designer, I was like, oh, they work on ads and they work for advertising companies, and I didn't realize that there was this whole other world that you could get into. There's so many different avenues now, like the things that I know, but I ended up getting an internship for a book, and it was an editorial company in Minnesota. And so that's how I got into print design. And so from there, then I moved to Texas and then got a job at a magazine company and then grew from there. I was production assistant. And that was another thing too. I wasn't upset about, like, if there was a graphic design position, that I wasn't like, oh well, I'm not going to be a production assistant, I need this position. I just, making sure you're getting your foot in the door. So there are times like you could start in a different position as an assistant and then work your way up. So I did production assistant, and what that meant is I helped with the pre-press checks of all the magazines. I helped art directors getting their files ready to go to print. Like that's how I started. And so what was really cool about that is, so I had the print production, right, that I learned, and then they brought me in because they saw that I, really enjoyed more of the design. So then they brought me in as a graphic designer and other projects. But now they would call me a hybrid because I had both these experiences. So I would say that is probably one of the biggest takeaways and advice that I would give to any designers out here that are wanting to get into the corporate world is making sure that you're open to doing whatever it takes, right, as a creative. So when you go into these interviews, even saying that, I just want to let you know, like, I can do multiple things. If you're needing somebody that can do production assistance or a photography or whatever, like, these are all the tools that I can bring and help. I'm not afraid of working on web design. So just making sure that you say these things out loud. Because I remember in one of the interviews, that is literally what I said. Like that was the personality that I brought, was I'll do whatever if I need to take out my own trash, if I need to help do this or that, like I'm whatever I need to do, like I'm here to help. And that was a piece of advice that an art director gave me at the time. I had a good friend of mine who was an art director who worked on projects for like Pepsi and Coca-Cola. And I'm so grateful for him, because when I was getting into the interview stages, that was one of the things that he told me, was making sure that if you're able to get in an interview, like letting them know that you're on board to help with whatever you need to help with as a creative for that company. So that is that is a very important when getting yourself into the corporate door. Okay. Number 5. What advice would you give to fresh out of college graduate who has just entered the field and is looking for work? again, like I just said, making sure that you're the type of team player, creative that's like, hey, I'm here to help and grow the brand in whatever needs to be done. So making sure you have like that kind of attitude and excitement, really, because it should be exciting for you to get these opportunities. Now, saying that, I know that I made it sound so easy, like, oh, I went from here to here. But when I went from Minnesota to Texas, there was a 9-month gap in between that a lot of people probably don't talk about. And there were moments during that time that I was like, is it me? Am I just a bad designer? Like, nobody will hire me? Like, I mean, I really was hard on myself. And I understand it is a lot easier said than done when, to say, don't be hard on yourself, be patient. But to help you get through that moment is, if you're not able to find an opportunity in the corporate world, create opportunities for yourself. And what I mean by that is, during that time, I was still designing. I was coding my own website. I met a lady who was starting her own like fitness company, and so I did a logo for her and some photography for her. I had, I think, a cousin at the time that was starting her photography company. So I created a logo for her. Like, there were things during those 9 months that I was doing to continue to build as a designer and a creative. And so, and especially the world that we live in right now, you can pop on social media, you can put out a post and let your friends and family know. You don't know if one of your friends or one of your family members are starting a new business. I mean, there's new businesses started like probably every minute. There's no telling what the statistics are on that. Like, everybody has a business. And and I know I can probably hear you already saying, "Well, everybody uses AI, da, da, da." And I'm going to let you know right now, um, that's really dangerous for people to use AI, because now we're getting like, are they real? Are they fake? So there is a place for us as human designers, because at the end of the day, it's not AI that's buying those products, it's human beings. So we are very much needed. And also, I want to tell you, do not be afraid of AI. Making sure that you are using these LLMs, which are large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. And so those are three that I use. And just to give you a little extra here, so ChatGPT, I love using that one for brainstorming and just kind of like getting all kinds of sorts of ideas. Um, Gemini is really good when it comes to like market research because it's owned by Google. And then Cloud, it's Claude. I use that one when it comes to writing content because it will ask you questions and really help you create really good copy. So that's there for you. And just letting you know that AI, is probably how advertisers felt when the internet came out. So, and I'm saying this because if you talk to people who have been in the advertising world for like 20, 30 years, they had to grow with the times. And you cannot be afraid of these new programs and systems. In fact, you have to be probably the first ones to embrace it and use it for yourself, and so that you can help your brands and your companies, or your freelancing, and helping yourself like a grow. So there's a little bit of that. But yeah, um I would say the advice I would give you fresh out of college is, first off, congratulations, and just always keep designing, always keep creating. Don't think that because you're not able to get a job that you shouldn't be creating. You are very much needed. your design and your creativity is needed in this world. So continue to design, work on your portfolio. If corporate is something you really want to get into, then you need to network. Making sure that going on places to receive mentoring, talking to other creatives that have been there. ADPlist.org is so amazing. I really truly wish that existed when I was coming into the design world, because it it's awesome. So I am a design mentor on there, and so I've talked to people from like 15 different countries, like over 79 career creatives, and just have helped in any way that I can so that they don't fall in the same pits that I did. And so it's a really cool place if you're needing some advice or mentoring while you're here designing and creating and just going along in your creative journey. And then also too, I would love to invite you into the space that I have, which is of my website, CandiceDMadrid.com. And so I have a community, and there it's a foundation community that I'm building for creatives that are here, that we're building brands, either our own or that we're helping build brands for other people. So, and then also I have a newsletter, an email newsletter, if you would like to get into. And I am sharing every month, really kind of like what I'm doing. Like, I'm a researcher, I love researching. So, sharing kind of like the things that I'm learning every month and things that I'm testing, and just letting you know kind of what's going on in my world as a creative professional. So, those are two things that you can find on my website. But yeah, so that is what I have for you. I am just so excited for you as a creative, and just continue to grow, continue to research, continue to create and put yourself out here. You never know. In fact, even if, let's say that there's not a company that you get into, who's not to say that you're not supposed to start your own company? So there's that. But anyway, it was so nice talking to you, and thank you for being here. Bye.